Hello, can anybody hear me? I see my thing moving, so it should be working well. Yeah. Let me go to comments. All right. Ooh, 20 people watching the stream. Good way to start the year. Oh, amazing. Perfect. Y'all can hear me. Wonderful. Well, okay, this is fantastic. Okay, let me go ahead and add. Sorry, guys. I have not streamed in a while, and this is my first stream of the year. And I'm super excited to be here. I do sound a little sick, but don't worry. I have water and cough drops with me. So if you hear like an occasional cough or if I mute, don't mind it at all. But how's everyone doing? Are y'all excited to be here? I am very excited to teach this. It's gonna be a very like basic intro, but I have a lot to yap about, and I hope that y'all ask questions so we can like talk together. I know like y'all are the only ones that can like hear me, but still, it'll be really fun. Trust. We'll be laughing. Hopefully I can make y'all laugh. Yes, basically is good. Don't worry. And if y'all have any questions throughout any point, please feel free to ask. Like you'll see, I have everything set up. Don't y'all worry, guys. I've been waiting. I've been waiting for this. Okay, so if I go this way, so then here we have the little MLA thing, guys. Usually, guys, I have an avatar, but the we all share this one together, so I wasn't able to put my avatar. So I'm a little bummed out, but that's okay, guys. We can show the beautiful logo off. Now, if I add this to stage, wow, it works great. Okay, wonderful. I don't know if it's updated, guys. Let me check. Okay, there we go. It is updated. Wonderful. Well, guys, welcome to Global Hack Week. Welcome to my first stream of 2026. I haven't done this in a while, but I'll go ahead and get started. Oh, I see I'm covering the slides, so I'm gonna remove myself. There we go. I haven't used the platform that we use to stream in a really long time, and I learned it about 5 minutes ago. So bear with me if there's any issues, but hopefully this is gonna go smoothly and do all that. I know I started a minute late, so if anybody noticed that, no, you didn't. So we'll go ahead and get started. I don't know if you can see my mouse. I believe not. So that's fine. So I'll just go off of the slides for right now. But I'm super excited to be here. I'm glad that everyone else is here as well. And I'm going to be giving an intro to SQL along with a lot of information that comes with that. Perfect. There we go. Exactly. Notice what exactly. So right now we have a welcome SQL, your gateway to data management. If there's any questions about anything, please feel free to stop me. I love answering questions. That's my favorite part of this. And we're going to take a dive into SQL, what it is, what it can do, and then I'm going to be able to give a lot of personal experience with this, which will make sense a little bit later. So let's just go ahead and do this. Imagine a world overflowing with information, a sea of data, right? SQL is going to be your compass and a map in this sea, guiding you to extract, manage, and understand this data. And honestly, this really speaks a lot to me because throughout the stream, I hope I'll be able to like dig this y'all, but everything's an SQL query. Like if I go to Starbucks and I want to buy a drink, the computer, like the POS, is going to have to do like when they click it, that's an SQL query. Pulling up the price and being able to do that, that can totally be that. Or if I go to a restaurant, the same kind of logic. Or if I'm buying clothes, there's so many ways that an SQL query can be used. And I'll go ahead and start off by introducing myself. Some fun facts about me. Hello, guys. It's here. I forgot to put this here, guys. This is supposed to be my my avatar. Ah, it's so majestic. That's what I look like, guys. Here, you know what? I'll even show myself for a second. How do I turn my camera on? Hello. See, looks we look just alike. I just got a bit of a haircut, but that's okay. So let me get rid of myself. And I use he, him pronouns. And I want to say that I love the hacker community. I love going out to events. I'm a sophomore in college, so I want to definitely preface that I'm not somebody that's like a full timer doing a lot like that. I kind of am right now, but that'll make sense later. But there is so much opportunity in the world, and I'm assuming that a lot of people here for the introduction are looking to get into coding or computer science in general, even electrical engineering. There's so many ways that coding can be useful, and SQL is one of them. And it's really powerful. I hope that understand that at the end of the stream that it can be used throughout your entire experience, whether you're just starting out or you're in a huge hackathon event or even a full-time job, it can be used. So let's go ahead and continue through the slides because I have like the timer up here, guys. So I have about 2 hours to stream and there's a lot of information to cover. So I'm going to try to get over these slides quickly. So the evolution of SQL. I want to give a bit of a historical perspective of what it is and what it's about. So in the 1970s, IBM, a huge company, by the way, in computer science, researchers were grappling with the challenge of managing ever-growing data sets. And data sets could literally have any kind of information. Oh, hello, Raven. Thank you for saying hi. Oh, I'm reading the chat as well, guys. So I'm paying attention to everything. Very locked in. So then we have SQL, or SQL, however you prefer to say it, but it stands for Structured English Query Language. And with that, it was born later into evolving into SQL. You see, it's the same thing, guys, pretty much. And then now we have this, how it became a standard in America. And then this is just the big name org that made it a part of that, repeating its importance. A moment, I'm going to take some water. All right. Moving on. The basics of SQL, right? Language overview. So SQL is going to be your key to unlocking secrets hidden within databases. We're just going to go ahead and easily go through these bullet points, and then I can give some real life examples. So structured query language, we mentioned that already, and it's designed for managing and manipulating data. So data is a very generalized and broad term, but anything can be data. Like you can store JSON files and that can be used as data, or a dynamic database using a data pipeline, CI/CD, all that fun stuff. And then there's syntax, which applies to every single language. So it's relatively easy to learn. It's like English like commands, which you'll see there's going to be keywords that we use so that the database understands that I'm using SQL and it sees what exactly I'm trying to do, and it can read it when I type in English as well as taking in the commands. So there's going to be a couple of building blocks, and this is going to be the CRUD operation. And I'll explain more of that later. I believe I have a slide on it, but there is select, insert, update, delete. These are very four basic commands, but honestly applies to anything relating to data. And it's really powerful to build up the basis of your knowledge. And these four are going to be the most important, especially when it comes to SQL. And I'll say SQL as well, guys. I'll go back and forth with it. Excuse me. So moving on, we're going to see understanding databases, the foundation of SQL. So here's a good example of another way a database can be formed. Because I said dynamic earlier, but again, another very vague buzzword term. But think of it as a digital filing cabinet. If you're a lawyer and you have a bunch of clients, you don't want to just go filing through a bunch of different things. Oh, hello. Hi, Lily. And when you're going through that cabinet, let's say I was a lawyer and I was looking, I have 1,000 clients, right? And let's say I don't have my database organized the way I want to, or I guess going back to the filing cabinet example, it's not organized. With that, it's going to be very difficult to like have to manually sort through each one. And let's say I'm working with multiple clients in a day. It's going to get very annoying having to search through and sort and try to find all the names and see like, where's my client? I need to talk to this person. They're waiting on the phone. I need to get the information to help them and make my money. Well, a database can be digitalized, so this cabinet can be digitalized. All the clients can be online, and SQL could be something, I say could, but it is something powerful that would make the entire operation so much easier and way, way faster, like instant. So then the points of this that I'm going to focus on are going to be tables, and that's where the data is going to be stored in rows and columns. Relationship, how the different tables connect and interact. This one we won't focus on so much because I'm only going to use one table. It'll make sense later. Don't worry, guys. I'll explain everything. And then SQL's role is to communicate with the data set, retrieve and modify data, which is pretty much talking to it, getting the information that you want based off of your query. So moving on to the next one. Is this me? Did I put that slide up there? I did. Okay. CRUD operations. As I mentioned earlier, those four operations, I can even go back to them right now. Select, insert, update, delete. This is going to be the syntax for them specifically. These are keywords, so remember that. It's going to be specifically in SQL, and I can go over them. Don't worry, guys. Well, I will be using these. And we're gonna go ahead and go back to the CRUD slide where we see exactly what it stands for. So these are four operations which are part of a lot of languages, but really important in SQL since you pretty much need it because it's the basic operations to go through anything. So if we go back to that filing cabinet example, oops, sorry guys, words stumble. If we go back to the filing cabinet example, we see that create, adding new data. That's going to be like adding new clients into the filing cabinet. Read, retrieving that existing data, going through your clients. Update, modifying data. One of the clients is like maybe changing their name or something like that. And then delete. Oh, this client hated me, so I got fired. Oh, well, I don't need them anymore, right? And then mastering these, and then you've mastered the basics of SQL. And it would be really useful to know them since you can apply this to so many other applications, whether that's going through Firebase and doing JSON files or MongoDB. These operations will always be used no matter what. It'll just have different words to define. So I'll go ahead and go over to real world applications of SQL, my favorite slide because I can actually give like a personal example of this. So SQL isn't just for academics; it's used everywhere. 100%, 100% valid. I mentioned fast food earlier, but social media uses it so much. Y'all are constantly using it if you didn't know. Even going over here and being able to check out this stream and go on Discord, there is SQL querying going on in the back that's making it possible for you to just instantly see everything, have all of your friends organized, messages stored. That's all through a database. And it looks super nice and beautiful on the front end, which is everything that you see. But the back end is working tirelessly, millions of operations happening a second. Imagine how many people on Discord, even with the stream that we're doing right now. There's SQL queries happening where I'm able to see the slides, right? But then there's queries going on into if I wanted to organize y'all's messages, I'd be able to do that. I'm not going to show y'all that though, because that's my magic, not y'all's. And then healthcare, of course, super important. Storing patient records instead. If I wasn't a lawyer, but instead a doctor, if I needed to get someone's information instantly, and they're like, God willing not, they're like dying on the bed or something. Well, you have to get the information really fast, and you have to make sure you know like what they're allergic to, what's going on, past records. So this is a really important factor, and SQL is able to help with that. And it might seem like a basic querying language, but there's so much power in it. And finance. The reason I skipped finance and went to social media is because currently I am doing a internship for the Royal Bank of Canada, where of course they're banks, so it's finance. And I'm currently studying up on my SQL. So this is actually going to be pretty helpful for me because SQL is very powerful. It's used in a lot of different companies. And I see like when I go into the bank, I can't like talk about specific logistics and things like that, but I've walked into the bank and like gone to where I'm supposed to work and I see it constantly being used. It is such a powerful thing and it's making millions of dollars. And that's not just at where I work right now. It's in so many different banks and in so many different finance institutions. There's so much possibility through it and it's so powerful and like what it can do because it seems so simple like the relationship database and handling all of this and just trying to get that information, but if you're able to pick this up, I'm honestly pretty confident that you can get a six-figure job just understanding this and being able to use it properly and set things up because there's so much opportunity, like so much, guys. I can't emphasize that enough. To give some more meaning to my words, there's companies that use SQL for their backend. And as we see here, this is fact. You can fact check this, guys. Don't worry. But we have Google, which I'm using this right now, Amazon, Microsoft, Meta, all of these huge companies. And we have some from retail to web browser. There are a lot more than that. We have banks, Disney, Uber for ordering cars to pick you up, Airbnb, and FedEx, another huge industry that uses them, handling orders and getting shipping addresses and handling all of that. So I hope through these slides, at least, I'm able to show how important data is and how much happens in a day. Millions of transactions, millions of queries a day. And if we were to bring like everybody in the world, it would guaranteed be billions of queries in a day. Oh, thank you, Lily. No, thank you. It is very interesting. I'm very excited about this. It's so powerful. and I'll show ahead later to give a little bit of a surprise. I'll go on the slides, but I'll stop here and say right now that I'm going to be using Supabase, which is a framework that you can use to display SQL, but there's many ways to do it. There is like SQLite or another version of it where you can do it natively on your own computer. And, and if you have any questions on Supabase, I can definitely explain that as well, as I'm using it for a startup, which don't worry, guys, it's not like a startup. I'm gonna make so much money. It's just for fun. I'm just messing around, and I just call it a startup since hopefully I can deploy it. So with this, we're gonna go ahead and explain real quick the future of SQL trends and innovation before I forget. And we're going to see that NoSQL is handling unstructured data, which is going to be something like MongoDB because it's not the same, because I know they don't use it. And then cloud databases, which are scalable and cost effective, that's going to be Supabase, for an example, where I'm using it to easily host and I have a database on there. And then I'm able to do some querying language with it to show y'all a tutorial of different ways you can mess with the data and get the information that you want. Integration with machine learning. Now, this is going to be a huge next step where I'll break it down like this. So, if I'm assuming everybody here is going to know things like ChatGPT, Claude, large language models, LLMs, right? They take natural language, which is how I'm talking to you right now, just speaking regular, be any other language, but we'll stick with English since that's all I really know. But imagine to be able to use natural language and just speak your mind and convert it to an SQL query. So if I went to, let's say, McDonald's and I tell them I want 100 chicken nuggets, I want 5 caramel McFrappes. I don't actually eat that much, guys. Don't call me a big bag. But with that, it would be able to take in what I said and automatically calculate the price of what I want without somebody else having to tap it, just being able to do it. That's an example of what the future could look like. My guess is that's going to happen, and hopefully they'll do it well. It'll make it a lot faster to go through the fast food line. And with that, just combining AI, which a lot of people feel like is a bubble, but I'll take my stand here and say that it's going to be a huge part of the future. And with data, AI, and handling all of this, SQL is still going to be really important. AI can use SQL and you can leverage it and have so much opportunity. 100 McNuggets does sound delicious. And I got a question. Oh my gosh, guys, I didn't see this. Hi, can I ask, how does NoSQL cloud databases and other ones relate to SQL? Are they types of SQL? No. Okay, so let me break that down a little bit more. So the reason I put NoSQL is just to show that there are other options, right? I'm not gonna go on here and say like, oh, SQL is the only option. You have to learn it. There's multiple ways. And that natural language, like the example I just gave with the 100 McNuggets, that's already happening. It's guaranteed already created somewhere. I just don't have it in my hands. If I did, I would use it. And there's different companies. There's so many different companies. And if you have a developer that has experience with, let's say, MongoDB, which is that cloud database that you mentioned, since it doesn't use SQL, it has this other form of handling, which it has its own special one. I haven't really looked too much into it, but it's still powerful enough in its own way where it's still able to be used since MongoDB is a huge company. And they're and oh, sorry, let me read the rest of your question. And the other one relate to SQL. So they're not as much as saying like they're entirely for SQL, but cloud databases definitely use SQL. Not all of them, but a lot of them. And then the NoSQL is just to show that that's possible as well, because I like to make sure when I teach something that there's other options, because I wouldn't want to come on here and say SQL is your only option for data. That's all you need to learn. And then you go ahead and go out into the real world. You learn a bunch of SQL, which is still really useful, guys, and that would be amazing. But you see that a job uses another type of data management and another type of data querying. And then you'll come back to me and be like, hey, why did you do that? And I'd feel so bad. So this is my fail-safe for that. And then there are types of SQL okay, so the language in itself, no, there's only one kind. It's pretty basic in like what you do, but there's different ways to display it. Like there's Postgres SQL, that's going to be the one that we're going to use. And then there's going to be other different versions that we can display, which can be like natively hosting it. Like you can do SQLite, which is being able to not say like have a whole dynamic database, but you can have a database on your computer. Like I could make one in Python, and then with handling like, oh, Adam, good to see you. Oh my gosh. Good to see you. Yeah, I'm doing my first stream in a really long time, so I'm just having fun like yapping and being able to explain a little bit about SQL. A question right now. Oh, first, you're welcome. Thank you so much for being here. And I just want to go ahead and finish it off by saying that with those, there's multiple options, so you don't have to stick to SQL, but also that you can choose how you want to use it. Really? See, guys, Adam is a really smart dude. I met him a while back. I don't remember how long it's been, but it was definitely last year. Sorry, Adam, I'm coming off of work, so I'm a little bit tired. But with that, he's going to be my justification. So you see that he's writing crazy SQL. Very important. He's a very smart guy. Very nice to talk to you. Very nice to talk to. And I hope I'll continue working with him. To give some more context to that, I am going to be a GitHub campus expert, and I hope to be able to work with him. So I'll go to my next slide. So, oh yeah, this is my last slide. So a practical demo running SQL queries live. So I'm going to go ahead and run these operations and show y'all how it works. Add some more buzzwords. Excuse me. Oh, I'm on another one. So Q&A, if there's any questions right now before I get started on the live demo, go ahead and ask away. And also, I just read the full name. I want to be employed. Me too. I want a full-time job. I'm doing an internship, which does not guarantee me a job, but I am going to do my best. That's a very smart name. If you go on to like go to things like this, that'll make a lot of people laugh. And thank you, Lily, as well. I don't know if you're saying that to Adam, but if you are, doubly nice. So I'll go ahead and see, yep, that's the rest of it. So now let's go ahead and remove this. And then to give some more, oh wait, here, let me put myself up here. All right. So you can, I hope, yeah, you can see the map movement. So I'm gonna have a bit of an explanation here. So I have Claude up. It's going to be, I called it SQL Buddy on my web browser. And in case there's a question I can't answer or something breaks, as live demos do, I'll just go to that and we'll go together and I'll just ask you, like, hey, why did something break? And then I have some queries already made up so I can run it, see how it works, and then explain the why behind it. So another thing that I totally forgot, if y'all could so kindly give me like some messages or like tell me if most of y'all check this out on the Discord, right? As there, I believe I attached the actual MLH event just so like the higher ups can see that I'm actually running this stream and doing all that, so they can see that we're actually having the fun that we're having. So just to be safe, excuse me, I'll go ahead and see if I can post a comment. And this is going to be the link to the event. And you can go ahead and click on that. If you don't have an MLH account, it's super easy to make one. You can go ahead and sign up for the event. It makes me look good. Make me really happy if I'll be able to do that, please. And I'll give maybe a minute or two just to get that up and going in case anyone hasn't. So with that, I'll take the time to explain that already. Okay, I explained my Claude. I talked a little about Supabase. That's going to be the framework that I'm going to be using to be able to show everything. And I'm super excited. Don't worry, guys. I have this all planned out. I may sound a little goofy, but I have a lot to show. And then I already went over my slides. Shared the link. All right. Everything looks good so far. And now I'm going to learn how to share my screen. Hopefully it's not too hard. Allow to share my screen. So let's go ahead and go to, thank you so much, Lily. I appreciate the confirmation. So we're gonna have this. It's gonna have my name. It's okay. Y'all can see my last name, Iro Escobar's project. So I made an account here. You can see my beautiful face. It's very hard to see actually, but hopefully, let me confirm. Oh no, you can't see it yet. Let me add this to stage and then go here. There we go. Hopefully, yeah, it looks like everybody's able to see it. So I'll go ahead and go over here. And then, hello everyone. Thank you for joining my tutorial. I have some queries down here, but I'll go ahead and go off of a list that I have over here. And then I'll honestly just get started. But if y'all have any questions, then, oh, okay, it worked. Okay, wonderful. Great. There we go. Yeah, Superbase is great. Another little plug is they have a Discord community. It's great. I love talking in there as well. They have a lot of amazing resources, and their backend is AWS, which is not the best, as none of the cloud ones are good, guys. Like, okay, I'm about to go off on a tangent, but they all like to charge. There were some issues with AWS where like I couldn't use Superbase for a couple days. That was really funny, but it all got worked out. Is the AWS outage? I remember that. I don't think it was that long ago, but for Superbase, that's their backend. But again, both are using SQL. And it being primarily SQL, that's what it's for. I think it's an amazing alternative to Firebase, which is it's like I don't know if they're related. Like I just call Superbase Firebase's little brother because it came out after. But anyways, I'm getting out of the way. So can I see this? Okay, wonderful. I'll be copying and pasting different commands that we can use, but this is going to be one of the most basic commands. So with this, oh my gosh, let me slow down. I haven't even explained myself. Let's go. So I'm here in an SQL editor. So I probably should explain a little bit of Superbase. I'm so sorry. Okay, let me go ahead and pull up the side view. So here we're going to see the project overview. There's going to be the table editor, SQL editor, which is where we can run commands. Oh, I lost it. And then a lot of other things that Superbase offers, but we won't be focusing on since I'm not teaching inner storage, add functions, real time. But you can see these look pretty cool. This is a lot of stuff you can do, as well as API docs if you want to use it in your project. I know I've looked at these a lot. And then we're going back and forth. I only have one. I'm on my laptop today, so I have one screen. So I'll be going back and forth. Y'all can't see that I'm doing that, but I'm gonna justify it by if you don't see me and my mouse on the thing, I am making sure if anybody comments to respond. But looks good, so we'll go ahead and continue. So I'll go ahead and go to table editor. And then I have a cars. Don't worry about the unrestricted. That's going to be more of RLS, but I'm not going to deploy this to the cloud or anything like that, so I don't have to worry about RLS. It stands for row level security. It's for like handling like let's say this was a database of users. I would have to add a lot of security to that so it stays safe and nobody can access it from online. But here we're going to see a huge database of cars. So with that, there's going to be different columns, which is unique ID. It's just numbers for the different amount of rows. We're going to have a brand of car, the model, year, price, color. What is this? Condition. Oh yeah, I remember now. One is like this car does not drive. 5 is you can take this car out the lot and it's squeaky and shiny. And then sold. So this is my revealing factor. We are going to be car salesmen. We're going to be selling cars. This is our parking lot. So we have a database that is currently storing all of our cars that I was going to say that we own, but I'll go ahead and say that I own. I own these cars. These are all of my cars, and y'all are the customers. I'm going to be selling y'all's cars. I like that a lot more. Yes, yes. I'm the rhythm of the cars. So we're gonna go ahead and dive into this a little bit more. So we're gonna see that I already talked about the unique ID, but I have Fords, Chevys, Dodge, Jaguars, a lot of Aston Martin. I didn't know that. And then I've never even seen a Lotus car. But you can see a lot of different brands, different makes, just a lot of different things, right? So imagine if this was, how many do I even have? I have about 42 cars. But let's say you're Toyota, right? How many cars do you think Toyota has? And like currently on the market, ready to be sold that you could place an order for? If I had to think about them being a Japanese company, so all of their lots over there, plus all the ones they have in America, not to mention all around the world, I guess they have at least like 200,000 different cars. So with that, imagine storing all of that and then trying to buy one. There's so many options. There's so much on one spot. Just trying to locate it would be a lot. That's where SQL comes in handy. We're not going to go that big on the scale because I want to show basic commands. But as you can see, we have a lot of variety. So we can show a lot of really cool things. So I believe I explained that. We're car salesmen. So I'll go to my SQL editor and we'll go ahead and get started with this first command and what this does. And don't worry about this too much. This is going to be where we can see everything as results. But the success no rows return was just me clearing up what I was working on before, so y'all don't get revealed too soon. This is just like I ran it with nothing in here. These are comments. I ran it with nothing, and that's why it said success because I didn't do anything. Excuse me. So now we're gonna go ahead and get started with select star from cars and what that means. We're gonna break this down a little bit. I'm gonna go ahead and explain with the colors and the syntax that we have here. So select. This is gonna be one of those keywords that I mentioned in the slides. It's gonna be being able to grab a table. So going back to this table editor, if we look over here, I can insert things and I can use the UI instead, but this is only one different car. These are all of my cars. I simplified it by putting it all into one, but you can create multiple tables. Like I can create one over here. So imagine if I had this one for cars and then I go over here and I made one for trucks. That would be completely different. And then I have to make one for, let's say, minivans, or I have to make one for what's another kind of car? Oh, even motorcycles, something like that. So you can see how select is really powerful in that you can have, oh yeah, discard, I don't need it. You can have so many different tables, all storing different information. And then that select part is going to get you through the first hurdle of selecting which one you want to use. So then we'll go on to the next point. Oh, there it is. And we'll go back to the SQL editor and then this star. This is another part of the syntax, but it's not highlighted blue. But you can change this to be anything. Like I can do price and I can do other things like sold. So what this section is selecting columns. And those columns are going to be, I'm going to be going back and forth a lot at the beginning, but here we're going to see brand as a column, model, year, price. And if we go over back to SQL editor, the star is signifying all of the columns. So whether it's 3 or 1,000, the star puts all of them. And then this from keyword is going to be, oh, sorry guys, I mixed it up. So select is going to be for columns. I'm so sorry about that. From is going to be for tables. So from is going to be for cars, and cars is the name of our table. If you go over here, I can confirm it. Cars here. Sorry about that mix up. But the select is for columns from whatever table you decide to use. And since we only have one, we'll just stick to keeping this as cars. And then for right now, we'll have it be just selecting from star. So we've seen the table one multiple times. We're still in the SQL editor. Just really want to confirm that. I'll run the selected command. Well, I'll just run the command, sorry. We'll run it. And then we'll see the exact same stuff that was on the table editor. We can see here. And now it doesn't look that useful right now, right? If this was cars, we pretty much reprinted cars. That was a huge waste of time. But the thing about it is it's most basic information. So there's multiple ways to do it. So now let's go ahead and say somebody is trying to buy. I'm gonna give examples for each one so it makes a little more sense as like a real world example. Let's go ahead and I'm debating on showing y'all a function first, or no, I won't do that yet. Don't worry, guys. The function is not a huge thing. It's just something that does a little bit of work for you. But I'll go ahead and explain a new key term as well as changing some stuff. So this is our basic term. So I'll comment this out and remember that. Boom. Magic, another term. So we'll go ahead and go over here. Oh, I just came back to the stream and I see what software are you using? Are you asking for like streaming part? Oh, do I sound bad? I'm so sorry, guys. I did not look. I hope I don't get lost. The voice is getting robotic. All right, let me see if there's something I can do about that. Maybe if I switch this up. Can y'all like sound good now? Thank you. I want to be employed. And yes, I am using Supabase. Can y'all still hear me? Okay, wonderful. I got a yes. That's good for me. Yes, wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Okay. Hopefully it doesn't lag anymore. If there's anything that I missed, do let me know. I'll backtrack a little bit just to make sure I hit the main points. But we're talking about select, which is going to be selecting columns. The star is specifically to show that it's all of the columns, whether it's 3 or 1,000. And then from is pulling from a table. And since we only have one table, we're just going to stick with cars. So now I wanted to take this one to add a keyword, and then I'll explain what's happening here. So we already understand select, we understand star from cars, but now there's this. And what where is a conditional. So everything past this could be a million different things. It depends on what the client is asking for, since we're going to stick to the car example. So where is going to be to define a conditional, which is when you start actually utilizing SQL and being able to query what you want. So this example would be, if we had to give an example, I'd say, I'm a customer trying to buy a car and my budget is 50K. Looking at that, it makes a lot of sense how we could explain this. So we're selecting all of the columns from our car database where the price is less than 50,000. And if we run this, we'll see that it'll easily work. And then you can go over here and we'll see that there's a lot of information here. So I can even go ahead and just do this. We can see all of this. We see ID, brand, model, but this is a lot of mumbo jumbo right now. And then we also even have sold where we don't know if it's sold or not. A lot of things to process, but we'll take it a step at a time. Right now, I feel like I'm looking at way too much. So I'm going to get rid of this star. We don't need ID since we don't have that many cars. We just want to see which one we can sell and sell it. So we'll pick brand, and then we'll also pick, we'll pick model, and then I don't need to worry about the year. Definitely price, since that's the conditional that we're using. And then we'll do sold or not. They're not worried about the condition. They just want a car. So if we run this, we'll see that instead of doing star, we can select the specific ones that we want, and you'll see how they'll display properly depending on that. And now, right now here, we'll see that we have some that are sold. Some of these are actually sold. So logically, we can't sell a car that is already sold. It physically would not be possible. So with that, we're going to go ahead and add another magic word. And a semicolon is used to define the end of a query. So I'll just go ahead and delete it for now. And then I'll use another magic word, which is going to be pretty self-explanatory, where it's going to be and. And with and, I'll go ahead and define where sold equals, I believe I can just do this, but we'll see right now, guys. I am going with the flow. So if I run this, is it going to give me an error? Nope. Wonderful. So if we look at this now, logically speaking, we have a customer trying to buy a car. Their budget is 50K. And we're able to see the brand, model, the price, sold. And then we can even go ahead and to say like, and to be a top conditioned car. So with that, like we can literally just add on to what we're doing. So I need to bring back in condition. And if we run this, oh, I spelled condition wrong. Oopsies. So if we run this, conditions brought back on. So we'll see that just overall looking at this, the condition, he's not going to get a perfect car. So sorry to say, but 4 is a lot better. So let's go ahead and say that we didn't see that. Let's say there's 1,000 cars here. We could just add another and, And it's as simple as this, where I know it may look very tedious and there's other ways to simplify it, but I just want to show the basic logic of it. So if we add another and statement, we can just say and condition is greater than, let's do 4. And if we run this, not now, it's not going to work. And the reason I say it's not going to work is we saw that 4 option, but we see the says no rows returned is because I didn't add an equal sign here. So that's definitely an important part. I just wanted to trick y'all to show that it matters. The little things. It takes one thing to change it. And obviously, if you put that equal, this is their dream car. They can afford it. Hasn't been sold yet. It's a Bentley. So, and the condition is 4. So that means that's a really good deal. That's it's pretty good. I don't want to complain about that. Unless my thing is wrong and 4 is actually like it's broken. So 5 would be unusable and 1 is like perfect condition. But I feel like condition should be higher. I made this database very like a long time ago, and I don't remember what I set for it, which is really funny. But this is us messing with it for a while. I'll go ahead and release the conditions. I'll keep the one I had there, and then I'll keep all of this and then just comment it out. So now let's check any questions. Okay, I'm sounding good. No complaints. Wonderful. So now we can go ahead and get into some more oh, excuse me, I almost coughed. We can get into a little bit more advanced. What do I want to show y'all? I'll show ordering and then we can show a function. So with this, I'll go ahead and show that. Oh, one more thing before I forget. So some other keywords that you can do is like, okay, so we'll do select. I won't run this one, but I'll just practice the proper practice. Select all from cars where something, right? And then just to show another thing, you don't have to capitalize these. I could just do where, and you see how it turns blue? That means it would still work. Proper syntax, but it's general good practice in code to follow some rules that people set just because it's smarter. So if we're using cars and we have all these keywords, cars makes it not too hard, but if this has some name that was really annoying, that let's say it was called from or something, then something you'd want to make sure is that you define your keywords. So you do something like this. You want to make sure that you follow proper syntax. And I don't remember the exact name of why we capitalize this, but just know it's something that a lot of people do. And even if you like ask AI, you usually practice this way because it just looks a lot better. And then let's say where condition is greater than or equal to 5, right? Oop, wrong, bad spelling. So with this, if we wanted to add, let's say they either wanted a car, either. So that word in itself, when it comes to code, is or. So if we used or instead, and then I go ahead and say or where, let's mess around with it. Where sold equals true. So if we run this, I feel like we'll get almost every car. That's not true at all. Oh, just run query. What did I mess up, guys? Select all from cars where condition is greater than equal to 5 or sold equals true. What did I miss up? Guys, I can't spell. Silly me. If we run this, we'll see that we're gonna have some cars that are not greater than 5, the condition, but they're sold as true. Some that are 5, but sold as false. And oh, wonderful! They just bubble to the top. Perfect example of it working as intended. You love to see it. So, excuse me. I'll bring in an actual command this time. And I'll comment this one out, bring it back up to get out of the way. And now let's go ahead and bring this here. So now we're going to see that this is going to get a little repetitive with what I'm showing, but the goal about it is repetition helps you learn it. So we're going to have the select again. We're going to have the star to display all the columns from the specific table that we want, and then the name of that. And we're going to have cars because we have no other table. Oh, it's not even going to load. Yeah, come on, Mac. Here we go, cars. So going back here, we can even just to show y'all again, if I comment this out, just for a little bit of tedious. Since I'm showing a new thing, I prefer to just have this empty. So if I run it like this, boom, nowhere to return. So back to the topic at hand. Talk about these, and now we have order by. So this order by is going to be another keyword. It's pretty self-explanatory in what it does, where it's going to order it. And then ASC is ascending. I can also do DSC, right? And then with this, let's stick to ascending because I prefer that. So if we do this and we run it, we'll see that these are really powerful in terms of organization, and you can set it to be do things like alphabetical or go off of numbers. And we're going to use year since it's a little easier for order by, since it's very easy to compare when it does a language, but it seems to be taking a while to run. So let me make sure. Oh, there we go. Oh, I guess my Wi-Fi is being a little slow. Well, does that mean I cut out? Like, but if we look next one, and I'm break because it has to be ordered in ascending order of year. And again, I'm going off very simple executions. It's not going to be as simple when it comes to going back to a car example. If we talk about Toyota, if I say I want a white Toyota RAV4 that's directly from Minnesota doing this, and I want the tires to be gold, as well as the car to have never been owned. You see how I can keep going and I'm back. Hello, can you hear me? Y'all just don't want to hear me yap, huh? Yeah, I'm blaming y'all. Sorry about that, guys. I like I immediately saw the red bubble go away, and it just I was like no, but I'm so glad I didn't hear that. So I'm back. It's all working. Sorry about that, guys. We're having a little bit of a struggle with the Wi-Fi, but let's just go ahead and hope it holds out for another hour. So with this, yes, it happens. I don't have the best Wi-Fi, guys. One day I'll have fiber. So go ahead and bring out this. I'm going to share my screen again. It's just somebody hacked me, guys. I don't want to hear me present. Okay, I understand. So going back to this order by, it's going to be year ascending. And what I was talking about before I was rudely interrupted by the Wi-Fi is that I am showing a lot of basic commands, and what I'd really recommend is if you really want to learn it, there is amazing courses. Like if you go on Scrimba, they do this exact example with using a car and going through that, and you can look and see actual queries being executed, and they can explain it a lot more thoroughly since it's not just 2 hours. It's as many times as you want to watch it and do all of that. And building the basis of your knowledge is really important. So examples help, and repetition is amazing. But I want to also emphasize that with this is going to be an intro. So there's going to be a lot of stuff that I'm skipping over. Like there's so much I want to tell you. I'm like, there's so many ways I could do this. There's so many conditionals I could add. I could pull up a single car and we can see how many ways to do that. I just really want to emphasize that the beauty of this language is there's so much. I don't know if the word is optionality for it, but I wish I could just. I'd say for hours if I could teach it. But sadly, I'm a human, and humans need sleep. But don't worry about that. Oh, what? Silly me. But it's a good thing I was yapping. But thank you so much for updating me. There we go. We have the screen going up there. All I did on my yap sesh was get rid of. I commented out. Like I will repeat what I do. I can even command Z what I did this, and now if I do it again, there we go. So let's bring in another command so we can just keep going. Since I just yapped about not having enough time, and then I'm not showing no more. So let's go ahead and bring in a function. It's going to be a very basic one, and it's going to give us one answer. So the goal of right now, just to keep y'all updated as well, is that, excuse me, I'm going to show probably maybe a couple more commands, maybe a lot more, depending on how I feel. And then with that, then I'll start showing big commands and like what you can do with the beauty of it, and how there's so many options. As I know there's a between example in here somewhere. I have to find it. But we'll go ahead and show here. I can even here. I'm gonna query my SQL buddy. I know y'all can't see this, but don't worry. I'm doing magic in the background. I'm gonna say, using this logic, give me an example. And I can type it all out, guys, and like figure it out. I just rather have it instantly do it, since again emphasizing that less time. So we'll be able to hear, and I'll bring up this command. Oh, don't look at that. Yeah, I didn't see that. That was my current. So let's go back over here. And now let's do, where is here it is. All right, there we go. Finally, a command, a query. So again, we have the select, and then this time we're not actually selecting a column, because what we're doing here is plugging in a function. So instead of selecting a column, we're selecting a function of this, where it's going to count the rows. So that's why it doesn't look the same syntax-wise. And this as part is going to be like naming it. So let's say I was counting something else. Let's say I was counting bowls of spaghetti at all the different kinds of spaghetti in a different table, all of it stored. They all had their own columns. I want to count how many bowls I have. So then I would count, which would just go over the rows, and then I can label it as total bowls of spaghetti, something like that. An example of what this specific part is. But if I run this, it's going to do as expected. I believe we only have 42 cars. Okay, well, I wish I had more cars, but as you see, we have 42 cars right now, which is, if I go over here to table editor, all it did was count the columns, sorry, the rows. 42 cars. Makes sense. Valid. We just fact checked it. Fantastic. So then we can go ahead and I'll do one more function. The function is just more SQL things going on in the background. It's pretty basic math, just adding them up, and it's making your life easier. Instead of you having to code it all out, you can just type count and then that asterisk, and it'll just count it. That's why that asterisk is there, by the way, since you're passing a parameter, and if any of these buzzwords don't make sense, feel free to stop me and I can explain it. So we'll bring a complicated one. I'll do this one. So the goal of this one is, it's going to look a lot more difficult, but don't worry, I'll break it down, and then I'll explain why I added it and when it's all happening. Hopefully I'm being thorough. Hope I'm not boring y'all too much. So get rid of this one. Move this one up. Nah, I couldn't bore y'all. It's amazing stuff right here. Boom, a lot of lines. And then we see how the semicolon is defining the entire query. So although they're on different lines, it's still being defined here. So, excuse me, grab some more. So, what's happening here? This is going to have a lot of different commands up. So, let me go ahead and bring up the definition. Is going to be this. And it's easier for me to just give you a line to read and explain it, so it makes more sense. But the goal of it is going to be the price ranges by decade. And I haven't tested this one, so hopefully it works the way as I intended. But let's break it down. Select So since we're running actual functions on here, we're not selecting specific columns. We're instead passing them as parameters. And as you can see here, count, we're going to have asterisks for all rows. And then since we're working with price ranges by decade, of course, the parameter that we're going to pass is just one column, which is going to be the price. And then the AS is going to be to explain what we want to name it. We can name this whatever we want. But we'll stick to what makes sense. We want to be logical, of course. So then we're selecting from cars, which is our table. And then we're running a couple more steps to this query just so we can look a little bit better. So we're going to group by floor. And the floor part is just to do the basic math. So if we have a number that comes out to a decimal point, the floor is just going to bring it down. So if we had, let's say if we had 5.2 or 5.4, something like that, if you perform the floor operation on it, it would both just turn into 5. And that's what will happen there. But the other counterpart to it is ceiling, which is like ceiling, running that as a function. And I think it might just be seal, but fact check me on that. So with ceiling, it doesn't matter if it's 5.1 or 5.9. If you run ceiling, it'll go up the decimal point. It'll go to 6. But we're just going to stick with 4 since logically it should be easier. So checking my comments. And then let's see. Here we go. Would it be better to group the query by decade to make the query more readable? Let me see. Let me read your question again. I spaced out. Would it be better to group the query by decade to make the query more readable? Honestly, probably. Just grouping it like that way. Because the group like this you can make this its own function. You can just do you can create your own function in SQL. You can have it do all of that. This is just like the most basic form of what it can do. And I just put the math there because it was just easier. So I won't go here and fix it because I'll probably break it. I don't even know if it works yet, but we'll see. I'll go ahead and run it. I mean, yeah, we run this. We'll see that I did not add any specific restrictions to divisions for these. So it's going to have all of these long decimal bullet points. I pinky promise you there's a way to just make 2 decimal points, but we don't have to worry about that for now. But if we go ahead and go over here, we'll see that each decade is being described here. And just to show that you can name it whatever you want, I'll go over here and do, oh yeah, I forgot. If I do that, I have to do that over here. We do, how many E's did I have? 1, 2, 3. Run. And we see that decade is still working the way it's intended. These are just names to make it easier for you. It's whatever works best for what you're working on. And then we have different cars for the different eras. Era store. I love Taylor Swift. It just went through my mind. And now we have the average price of what happened for that time, the minimum price and the max price, and then just being able to get all this because these run functions and math on the back end. The back end of the back end, which is pretty funny, but it's just back end. When I say that, it's just stuff you can't see that it's operating. And then let me see. Is writing very concise SQL important too, like in other languages like Python? I wouldn't say it is as important because I could write out, going to this example, I could write out an elaborate schema that I could make this a function. I could separate this out to be its own entire thing. It would be possible to make this one line. I could get this. I could simplify it. I could bring all these. These are the ones that come with SQL. I didn't make these. Everybody can use these no matter where you are. And for that, you can do it. I'm assuming that if you have, let's say, I could add loopholes. I could add jumps to this that would make it take a little longer. But with our current table editor and how much we have 42 cars. It doesn't matter how much I do it, it's going to be instant. But if you have 2 million cars and you're trying to run it there, that's when it would matter. When you're upscaling it to that size, you would definitely follow proper procedure to make sure you can simplify it as much as possible and make sure that actual querying that's happening is not as thorough as it's not as thorough. When I say as thorough as it needs to be, it's not like doing too much. You want it to be simple if it's up to that scale. But if you're most like if you're ever working on a project or anything like that, you don't have to worry about size and scale. You just want to make sure that it understands it as clearly as possible, whether that's for the thing that you're on or what you're working on. Because if you understand it, that's the goal. Unless hopefully one day you're working at some big software job, that's when you worry about it. And you make sure that when you run it, you do it. But it'll be self-explanatory, don't you worry. A great question. Thank you so much. So we'll go back to here and we'll see that it worked. I can name it whatever I want. It's running all these functions beautifully. And then I'll go ahead and since I've been adding a lot more, I'll start separating things by lines, making it look pretty. I'll get rid of this because it's a lot. I don't want it on my screen. Delete this too. And let's bring in the next thing. Boom. This is pretty basic. It's just really me wanting to show the between and how it's used with and. So again, I really want to make sure I emphasize this as we go through it because it's the main stuff. It's very important. And then let me do a check on time real quick because I've still only been going on reading the data. There's still some things that we can do with deleting and inserting and all of the other steps in the slides. And I'll say that since I lost connection for a second, my slides got removed. So let's see if I can bring them back just so I can show y'all that slide. Oh, super easy. Okay, I'll bring those up later. That was way easier than I thought. Yay. So we'll run this and then I'll explain it. Be pretty self-explanatory. We're selecting these different columns, the ones that get displayed. And then from cars, the only table that we have right now. And then where year between 1990 and 1999. So what does this mean? We're adding a condition where when we're looking at all of the car database, we're going ahead and we're setting a limit on each side. And then limit is going to be its own keyword. I will show an example for that as well. But for between, it's pretty much two limits where you're setting a limit between 1990 and 1999. So or would not really work here. I don't think it would, like, logically. You can try it out. I hope it breaks. No, I don't. If it worked, I'll be, you know what? No, let's see it break. What happens if I do this? Yep, doesn't work. So let's reverse it. And we'll see that it matches the condition. So we're ordering by year and brand, which will be alphabetical plus handling like year, making sure that we see that it starts at 1990 and it's just going up and it's making sure that it shows it. So here's another thing that we can look at. When doing between, it's inclusive. So what that means is that it's not going to exclude 1990 or 1999 because we have a car from 1990 as well as 1999. And then with that, I'll go ahead and pull the other one. I already forgot what I was talking about. I was going to show y'all another one. Ooh, I like this example. So now we can start combining some things that we did, and then I'll just slowly start adding more keywords. I'll show y'all limit. Here, let me even put a reminder. Show a limit example IRL. As I'm going along and running this. But the next example we'll show is something simple. We'll dial back a bit. Is expensive luxury brands. I had fun doing this one. I started daydreaming. I'm like, what if I drove a Ferrari? One day I'll be driving. Actually, no, I'd be terrified of driving one of those. Imagine the car insurance. But that's adult stuff. I don't gotta worry about that. Hopefully not. But we'll see here where we're starting to get used. Unintended. Where we're selecting all from cars, where brand in. So this is going to be another keyword that we're using. And we're going to see that in brand, we're specifically looking for, since the string, we're looking for specific text. And we can change this to be like Ford or something. But since we were looking for luxury cars, we want these. And also, since they're luxury, they're going to be very expensive. So we'll see that, oh, I guess Aston Martin is a bougie brand. Dang, these are expensive. Oh my goodness, they're so expensive. Yeah, I'm definitely don't want to drive one of those. Excuse me. Don't worry, guys. It's really good. So if we look over here, they have different IDs depending on where they are in the database. Since we're doing all, we don't really worry about these too much, but as we see, this meets both the conditions for that. And now I'll go ahead and quickly bring a limit example that you should get. There we go. Perfect, perfect, perfect. So now we have the most expensive cars. So now I want to bring, boom, find the most expensive cars. So now we just did one way. I should bring it back. Matter of fact. So now we have this one, expensive cars. This is one way to do it, where we're literally searching out the brands that we want and the price. Another way is just going like this and just getting the top ones. Oh, this is great. This is exactly what I meant for this. I know I'm amazing, guys. So we're gonna see find the most expensive cars. Select brand, model, year, price, because it just makes it a little prettier. I decided to do this instead of all of them since I want to help y'all guys and mine too. That's why I have this in dark mode. I hope none of y'all use light mode. Please don't. I feel like Adam is a type to use light mode. I don't know if he's still here, but hopefully not. But he would definitely be the type to use that. So we'll go over here, and since we have these selected, and then from cars, now we're ordering by, which we know how it works. And the last example was ascending, so we'll do descending here, and then limit by 5. So limit is it sets to how many queries and rows can actually show up. So if I double this to 10, and I run it, we'll see that it shows 10 cars, and it's pretty self-explanatory what it does. It's like that between thing where it's setting a limit. That's why it's called that, to make it as simple as possible. And you're able to set conditionals and then how many you actually want this to be. Oh, Adam is here. He's I said that I could never expect you to use light mode. You're definitely the kind of guy that has never touched light mode ever. You're sleep, you're sleepy, or I forgot locked in doing SQL. He's probably doing a lot harder things than I am. Oh, did I even mute myself? Oh, no, I did not. See, there we go. Yes, Adam, you are 100%. Wait, what's the other 5% for? It's like super, super like. I guess if I'm out in the sun, dark mode is a lot harder to see. But if we go ahead and go back to our super base, we'll see that this worked. So we're able to show expensive luxury brands. Well, if I want to run this, I have to make sure that it's not. Let me see. Is this running both? It's not. It's running the latest one, so that makes sense. We'll get rid of this. Run this just to make sure it stays the same. Should mess with it. Yeah, it's exactly the same. So we'll get rid of this. Oh, how am I doing on time? Hour and 10 minutes. Dev testing light mode, or if I'm at someone else. Okay, yeah, you're totally right. When I started my internship, I had sorry guys, little tangent. When I started at my internship, I logged on to this huge computer, and it was like a 40-inch monitor. It was gigantic, and they used it for trading. But I get my own desk, so it was just amazing. And it just the background was all white. I just get I'm like and like disappear for a second. It was so funny. Yeah. Hello? Oh, thought I heard something, but we are safe. So I'll go ahead and move on to another example. And now I get to just start adding things, putting them in together. He's having fun with it overall, since we've given a lot of different commands, but I briefed over all of them very quickly. So I'm gonna just keep throwing them all in together and showing y'all things you don't expect. So now we'll see here. This one I randomly just made. Let's see if it works. Okay, it works. Wonderful. So if you look over here, I just wanted brand for it. And then we're using select to show a column, which this one we can't really change since it's in the table. Well, you can change it, but that would be in the table editor. You can do it here, but that gets a little more advanced since you're manipulating things. But we'll have the comma for separation, and then we'll run the function here with the asterisk to define all the columns. And then we're going to set a name for it, which is going to be the count here. So now what this logically is doing is it's going through the brand of cars and then counting how many there are of them. And it's just running that simple operation based off of the rows that are valid with a name. And then from cars to define that that's the only table that we have. And then we're grouping by that brand, which makes a lot of sense since that's the count wouldn't show. We didn't do that. So then if we order by count, then do descending, we'll see it 5 and up to 1. But if we did it like this, we are able to, where is it? Run. Forgot the green light. It starts at ones and then 3, 4, 5. And then now I'll stop the stream here for, not stop the stream, sorry about that. Is there any questions or anything about like what I'm running right now of like how it's working? Is everything making sense so far? I hope so. Do let me know. And go ahead and type them in the comments. I'm going to go get a bottle of water real quick as I am parched and I have finished my water in 1 hour. So be right back. Zero questions. I must be doing amazing. Thank y'all so much. Appreciate all the patience. Gonna take a sip of my water. So we'll go ahead and continue. Excuse me. And now I'll bring another one here. And then if I bring this one, we start running partitions. Yes. And we run this. Boom. A lot of buzzwords, a lot of things to show. But I'll just go ahead and run it and let it explain itself. So we see that you can get a lot of things done, partitioning by things, setting names for it. This one it was the most complicated one I made because I didn't want to do too much. But as you can see, I have it performing a function that I technically made with doing subtraction and all that. But you can separate this out into going into a completely different thing and then running that here. You can make actual functions and then give them names, of course, what you want to do. But I won't do that here since it's pretty basic. It's one operation. And then we'll see that partition by brand and then that price difference. And we'll see that it's able to do this and separate them as such. And it looks very beautiful because it's able to do all based off of its own brand and find like where it is in that average. It was great to see. Which my most complicated example, but it's very clean to me. So I'll go ahead and then start bringing some more logic into here. And this is the part of stream, where am I at? 116. Oh, I'm doing great on time. Wonderful. So now we are going to go ahead and move on to the next part of the stream where I am going to be showing, sorry guys, my slides disappeared again. They keep disappearing. There we go. At the stage. Boom. And okay. So let me move on. Oh, my beautiful, beautiful avatar. Go back, review these slides at the beginning. So our CRUD operations right here. We're gonna have create, read, update, delete, insert. And now I am going to set myself up for success and query real quick to Claude using examples I gave you. some small examples for insert, update, and delete. Okay, there we go. I ran a query to query. I natural language one specifically to Claude to give me some extra commands, just to make sure I don't run out of things for y'all. And we're gonna go ahead and look at these slides again. And we're going to see that we have been thoroughly going over read, as it is one of the huge parts of it, since usually you're going to have a database already made and defined for you, and you're going to want to read. Specifically for cars, this is a very strong example of using read. But of course, in a parking lot, cars get sold, and then we have to get rid of them in the database. We also get new cars, and maybe a car changes. Maybe we paint it a different color and up its condition because we have really good mechanics. So with that, we can go ahead and go over here. And I'm going to start running some commands again, where delete this big one, that's complicated. And now we'll start off with insert. So that creation part. Insert is going to be the keyword for SQL. And then it's going to be the one that's defining with into. So insert and into go together hand in hand. So we're inserting into, which this is like from, but it makes more sense for insert. And it's to say that we're selecting a table to insert a row into. And now we're defining all of the columns. And this gets a little more complicated because when looking into a table, since I have no row level security, you can define in each one of these, like if there's a car, it has to have a brand. There's usually not a car out there that's like handmade and it's not like, imagine I made one in my garage out of random parts. That wouldn't have a brand, but I'm not going to sell that. So usually they have to have a brand. So you set conditionals to ensure that these have to have a definition of something. You have to add a definition if you're going to add to it. So with this, we're defining all of them sequentially in an order because this is the order that it's in for the actual table. And then with this, we're going to add our values. So we're separating them out. You can put these together, but separating them in lines makes it look a lot cleaner. And with that, we'll have that we're running, and we're going to run this and add a Toyota Camry. That's from 2018. It's $2,200 and it's silver, decent condition, and it has not been sold yet. So if we run this, we're going to see success and no rows returned. The reason it didn't return anything is because we didn't select to show that. But we want to see if the car was added. So let's go ahead and guarantee that we see this car. And let's go over here, and I'm not going to run the operation again because it would just add another of the exact same car. And the reason it would do that is because since we have a unique ID for each car, all it would do to validate having two of the exact same car, since that's possible, since you can have multiple cars in your parking lot that are the exact same, is it would give it a unique ID, a separate unique ID. So now here, let me bring that back and I'll comment it out. We'll comment out both lines. And then I'll show that this is what we just ran. And then just for sake of view, just ran this command, rant. And now if we look over here onto the new one, now we're selecting to display, and we're going to pick all the columns because we can. And then where we're setting the conditionals, where it's as simple as just doing a couple of and statements, where we know we added a Toyota. So that's this car. The model's a Camry, and it's from 2018. So let's see if there's multiple. There's just one. And if we see here, you can easily fact check that this is the exact car that we added. So you can see that it's possible to do that in a database. And then with that, let me check for questions. None there. Oh my gosh, I'm so sorry about that. Let me reverse what I just did. At the stage. Thank you so much. I've just been yapping. How do I get rid of slides? Remove. At the stage. There we go. Okay. So let me backtrack a little bit of what I just did. So looking here, I already pretty much revealed it, but this will work out. So with here, I ran this command, right? I'm glad I put this so you can see what I just did. So we have insert into, which is going to specifically be the command that we're running to insert into a table. And the table's named cars because emphasizing we only have one. So now sequentially we're displaying all of the different columns and then value is displaying like in order sequentially of what we have here. Toyota, the brand, Camry, the model, 2018 a year, and etc. And then we just ran this select operation just to display that we have this exact car. And it's actually in the database and it's showing it. And then thank you so much, Cosmos. I really appreciate that. So we'll go ahead and bring in another command where we're going to use this same car. And then let's say we want them to negotiate the price down. So we don't have to go into the system and change it. They could convince me it's a lot of work. So we're going to delete this one. I won't delete it yet. I'll see if I can comment it out. Nope. I deleted it. Since we're sticking to the same car, we'll keep what we've done. And then now we'll keep the select here, but I'm going to keep it below since we want to make sure we keep viewing this car. So now if we run this one, and then let me go ahead and do this. Now we're going to see this instruction, the update portion. So we've been convinced to negotiate the price down that we're going to take off about 2K. So now these are going to be the keywords specifically for updating it, which is update and set. But in between them, we're updating the table and we're setting something, which is what we're changing. And that means that we're setting the price to 20K. And the reason that this works is because we're going to have a conditional where I could set a condition where I want to update every car that's not sold to be $1 if I wanted to. But that would take my business. I'm not going to do that. So I'll stick here and stick the landing where we'll say where the brand is Toyota, Camry in 2018. Well, we've already defined works for our current database. There's multiple ways to get this information. We could create a query where it's going to get the exact information here, probably logically in a database that has a million different parameters and a million different cars. You're not going to do this because it wouldn't make a lot of sense logically, and it would be a lot of querying to make sure it validates every column. So what we would use is the unique ID. Since every car is unique, you don't have to look at one column and get that unique ID from the original website. Everything can be done differently. Everything is its own process. It's just how you depend to do it. And then, oh, welcome. I see from both. Wow. No, that's a dedicated viewer. Thank you so much. So with this, we'll see that this is all here. And then if we go down, we see that the Toyota was added as 44. And the reason it jumped one is because I believe I've deleted one before. And it creates a unique ID for every single one. So that's why there's a space in it. So with that, we're going to see that this is the car that we've added, silver 4, and it's not sold yet. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to run this operation. I'm going to get success no rows returned because we're not doing the select where we can actually display, because select is used to display. And then I'll go ahead and comment this out. If I can select it. A lot of uncommenting. And then we're going to bring back this command, which is just a command that brings back displaying it. And if we go over here, we'll see that, hey, we were able to successfully perform it and drop 2K off. They've convinced us. And now with that, we can even run another command where we can go over update again. And what we're going to do is they've convinced us, since we're dropping the price, I mean, we're clearly going to sell the car. So now we're updating the car table, and we're going to set that we've sold this car to some lucky deal. So we'll keep this, and then I'll just comment this out. And then these have been working, so we'll go ahead and get rid of them now. And then run this command. And then I'm just doing a little bit of repetition just to show that it works. So I'll get rid of this command, and I'll bring it back. And then we'll run it again. And we'll see that, yay, the car got sold. So we were successful in selling a car. I know, I'm a great salesperson. I'm amazing. I can sell every car if I wanted to. And now that the car is sold, we don't need it anymore. And I know there's a lot of cars here that are sold that we still have, but we won't worry about that for now. So we're going to go ahead and delete that car, which is going to be our last operation of what we're working on. And we still have a little bit of time though, so I'm definitely going to run some more commands until I run out of time, sadly. But with that, we're going to go ahead and move on to this delete operation. And then we're probably going to add some repetition and just go over it again. So we have this here. We have our select command. I'll delete this. Not delete, but keep it. And now we'll run this command. And this is going to be a couple more keywords. Excuse me. Had some water. Where this is going to be its own two keywords where we're deleting from. And you see how you can say it in English and it makes sense. So we're deleting from the cars table where we need the brand to be the Toyota that we had and the model to be Camry and the year 2018. And then this one is a really important part where and sold equals true. Because why would we delete a car from database that is not sold? And with this, we could even do the unique ID of the car, but we won't here since we just want to make sure you can view what's happening. But if we run this, so with this, it's going to, of course, give me a warning because you don't want to delete things in your database. And the reason this is showing is because we have no row level security. So I haven't defined anything that you can and can't do. So with that, it's pretty smart to add this. And it wouldn't always add this operation. It wouldn't add this security on like every framework, but this is just another advocation that Supabase is pretty good. It's going to make sure that if you delete something, it knows. But if I run this query, it'll work as successful, no row return, and it just deleted something from the database. So we could select here, and just to be safe, I just want to show the example. Million cars, right? Again, I'm not able to go through all down this and check, but as you can see, a little sneak peek into the future. If I run this, I'm going to get a success, no rows returned. So I was able to run the operation, but there is no car like this that exists anymore in our database. It just doesn't exist because guess what? We sold it. And that's the great part of it. And now, sorry guys, I'm locking in a little bit. I was typing a of the next example I want to do. So now we're gonna go ahead and start adding cars that I know are not in there. And I'm gonna show that, let's say we have a bulk order. I just bought a bunch of cars and now I want to see them. So we'll run this operation. And let me know if you want me to start slowing down. Excuse me. I'm going to go have a cough break real quick. I'm gonna go take a cough drop. You won't believe it. I'm out of cough drops. No. I'll go to the store after this. So going back, what operation was I on? Oh yes, I was on insert into. So inserting into cars, we're gonna define all of our different things. And then the values thing is where we can keep repeating it and just adding different inserts for it. So I see we already got a success. We already did this. So we're going to go ahead and keep this. And now we want to check our new inventory, right? So I'll go ahead and go over here. We've already added our cars. I'll be here into I'll run something like this, like doing like block comments. Or would it be like this? Let me fact check this right now. How to do block comments in Supabase SQL. And while I'm here, I definitely want to emphasize that AI is a very powerful tool. You don't want it to let it do everything for you, but definitely in things that would save you a lot of time, you would 100% want to use it. Because since something that I could have done a bunch of digging for and doing all of that, now I just do this, and now it works just as intended. So now we have block comments for it, and I'm just doing that right now. I knew it, guys, but it's just gotta be safe than sorry. Don't who lulled me? Press, are you laughing at me? Don't laugh at me. Everybody has to ask AI sometimes. We're not all perfect, so not as perfect as pressed, but oh well. So now if we check our new inventory and we see that the same operation, so I'll slow down and explain. We're selecting our columns again from our table, which is called cars, where, and then the where and in go together when you're looking for specific keywords. And since brand is a string, this is possible. And then usually you can do double quotations, but just stick to single because it looks prettier, in my personal opinion. And then order by brand, we can choose to do ascending or descending as well, but we'll stick to these. So we'll run this, and we'll see that something failed. What failed? Well, minuscule thing. Oh. So now we're gonna bulk update this. Well, the selecting doesn't work. So let me make sure that I'm doing this right. One moment. A little bit of guess and check. Make sure this works the way it's supposed to. Oh, not copying. Somebody sneezed. So if I go here and I do this, and I go here and I do this. Aw, the copy and paste isn't working. But no matter. What I can do is just do the safest bet. I'll go here, do this. There we go. So that works. But we haven't been able to see the cars. So since we're working with a small table, we can just go ahead and go down here. And then, oh, my car's never added. Silly me, I forgot to run the operation. Easy fix. Let's go ahead and go over here. Back to my order. Press better not laugh at me again. That'll be really embarrassing. I know I messed up. We'll just start command Z back. There we go. Run. Oh yeah. Oops. Improper syntax. If we run this, should get it successful. There we go. Now we can block comment it. There we go. There we go. And now let's make sure that we can actually see the cars. A little bit of technical difficulties, not by the tech, more by me not being able to remember what I do. But hey, my excuse is I'm coughing, so don't laugh at me. And here we go. We have very good condition cars. None of them sold since we defined that. And we have all of our Hondas and Nissans. So we already have this. I'll block comment this as well so we can keep it in view and make sure it's displaying. And then we'll bring in another operation. We'll bring in doing a bulk update. And this is just to show that we've been working right now with singular commands, messing with one car. But imagine having a bulk order like a company wants to buy 50 company cars. They want to buy 10 trucks for their big business. Well, you're going to want to be able to sell that because that would be a huge commission as a salesperson. Also, I really hope, let me fact check. Oh my gosh. I just got so scared that I was muted, and the lull was because I was just doing stuff without talking. That would have been so bad. So we'll continue over here into update cars, and then we'll go ahead and look at here. We'll update cars, set price, and then the case is defining that we're going to be able to run different operations for this, and you can see how you can then do multiplication, which again can be its own function. But since we're doing basic commands, we'll keep it simple and just have it do it in every line, because the one thing you don't want to do is have repetition. Like if we had 1,000 cards doing this, it would be much better to create a function for all of it. We will call it like discount setter or something. So we'll run this and we should get a successful, and where it's Honda, Nissan. So now if I, again, one more block comment, and I'm going to start deleting. So let me slow down a little bit and see what I've just done. I've just added a bunch of cars, Hondas and Nissans, and then I showed that I added them. I updated the cars where I added some bulk changes to them, basing off of some discounts for the year and things like that, as that's normal for a business. So now if I bring in this and I run it to display again, we'll see that the prices have improved. And you can tell that it does that because they weren't that before. Since we go over here, this is at 2,600. Now it's at 25,200. This was expensive when 3,200. Now it's 30,400. So as you can see that discounts were distributed. So with that, we'll add another operation. So we shall do this bulk one. And in cases where you're able to run a bunch of queries together, operating it, and then end is going to be where you're adding a bunch of different things. So now I want to see the price changes with calculation. So what we're going to do is start combining things, different operations, and having them all work together. So I'll select and the card that I inserted, and then copy and paste this. So now we're doing that select part, which means that something has to display when this is happening, right? And then we're setting different names for things that we're working on, since we're setting a new price. And then the case and end is going to be where we're adding new things. And you see how you can have multiple case and ends, and then round. So this is going to be that price minus the case, and then you're rounding. So the round is that floor and ceiling thing combined, but it's basic math. If it's 5.5 and above, it'll round up. If it's 0.4 or under, it'll go down. Hopefully everybody knows that. Don't worry, guys. If you don't, I can also teach math as well. So we'll let this operation run, and we should get a successful running these cases, as well as then display. And I think hopefully it's just my computer being a little bit slow. We have time where we're adding these conditionals, and these statements are getting a lot larger, and it looks a lot better if you separate it out like this. But when using AI, I'm assuming that it's just going to put them all in one huge block and run the operation. But if we go over here, you see that some of them have null. So the reason this is when it's going to be null is because it is a different kind of car, and it's not going to be able to bulk up the way that the other ones are, since there's no combination for them really like that. But you can see how it was valid for all the other ones since they're savings. There was no discount applied to the Skyline, since it's not what we'd applied for before. And it's from 1999. Of course, it's going to keep that firm price that it has. Excuse me. So with that, we can run another operation where we can start combining where we can go ahead and say, hey, these cars have been here for a really long time. Let's say we just got these cars, but they've been here for like a year now, and they're old. I didn't feel like washing them, things like that. So now I'll run a third function on its own. Sorry, query, excuse my language. Where I'll go ahead and get rid of this. And now this is updating with functions. And then the cars have been a lot for a while. Reduce condition. So we can just go through the English that's happening here. And it's not going to display it because we have worked on using select and we understand that we need that to display it. But when we do update cars, and now we're setting the condition to the greatest between condition -1 and 1. So all that greatest is doing is it's another function. It's just guaranteeing that if the condition is 1 already and you're trying to take a condition of it from being there too long, it will pick 1 over 0 after the operation is performed because you can't have a car condition with 0. So with that, I'm just realizing now as I'm looking at this, a car with a 5 is perfect condition, and a car with a 1 is horrible condition. So I was right. I was right. I know myself. I know how my database is. Everything correct. And then the price is going to be reduced. So you see how this is making it look like it's a real time thing where if the condition is dropping, you're dropping the price a little bit. You want to sell the car and make some profit. You're running an operation to make sure that everything goes smoothly and then defining it up and how we've gone through all this and it's been running a lot of operations and they're very going back to the example of Toyota, imagine how many queries are done when you're just a customer looking for a car or you're someone working and trying to find a car for a client. You're constantly querying and trying to find, and that's not that every salesperson at Toyota just knows SQL by heart and can easily look up the cars that the customer wants. No, what we do is we run these in the back and it performs operations with a database. So if I make a pipeline connected to a Toyota car database, I am able to run SQL on it and I'll have it all coded in the back end as operations so that when a salesperson who's not focused on coding and getting it, they're focused on getting the right car. So they'll have all these functions ready that are ready to just look up the data depending on the conditions that we set, where I could have it like set a discount and change things like this and put this into a function. And then if we give a example where Adam says me coding backend right now, and I see the highest thing is so funny. Yes, very much of coding the backend is what people don't see, but it's so important in the sense that all of these things happen and it makes it so much easier and it makes it a lot faster instead of somebody having to, again, that filing cabinet example of searching through all the cars all through paper and trying to find the one that they want and then where it is. You can define this all in a database and then have SQL get it to you in a matter of seconds. And even if it was a million cars, you could be able to get that in a couple of seconds. That's the ratio of how exponentially faster SQL is, because when you have a relational database, there's so many relationships. There's so many ways I can define the different columns and how to search something up. But going back to that example of that unique ID, no car is the same since you can't have two cars. Like you can have two cars in one. You can only have one car in one lot. So in one parking lot. Sorry again. It's going to be one car in one parking space. That's the word I was looking for. You can't have two cars in one space unless it's like one of those special ones where they're on top of each other. But I would not trust one of those. So again, going back to my point, there's so much possible in what you can do and what can be used for it. And we're right now doing an example where it's cars, but this applies to pretty much every industry since the times that we're in right now are going into more advanced technologically since I'm 20. I was born in 2006. So just to date myself a little bit, I was here when the internet was here. And going back in time to before the internet existed, I know that there was things like catalogs and that's how you would go through things and it would take forever and you'd have to pay for it. But To give a real world example, I have a amazing friend named Jason who created a website for himself, and then his back end is SQL. And what his thing does is it handles doing executions for Legos. So if there is a Lego, he runs and sets things on so and I asked him to save a couple Legos for me because I'd love to be able to buy them on discount. And that's an example of being able to leverage it to help yourself out or be able to work on something huge. Excuse me. And then it's just a great thing overall. So with that, I'm going to ask Claude, my best friend, to now give me. Lock me in for a second. I am going to get the delete operation for all of our new cars. And there's so many ways to do it, but I will do it as simple as I want, which I don't even like the example that it gave me. So I'm just going to go and redo it and put it to my Google Doc where I'll do my magic typing. And then I will just bring it here. Now we know that those cars are there, but I want to stick back to my original. I adding these cars, doing all these price changes is too much. I like to be old school. So I'll run this operation. I'll get an error again. Not error, but a warning. Run this. Now, if we go over here, we're going to have it run this operation. We're deleting Hondas and Nissan. And I just realized it's going to delete my GTR, which makes me a little sad. But it did warn me, so that's on me. But if we go over here, and we go to our table editor, and we go all the way down, we're going to see that they're gone. And how bringing back up my slides, we're going to see that we've performed the 4 basic operations where we created, which is, I created it before, but it's definitely something you can do. And it's going to be creating a new database, and then you can add columns to it depending on that. You can read, which is the select that we were using to be able to show all of these different things and what's happening in the database. And then updating is changing the price, condition, maybe even where the car is at, things like that. And then we sold car, we don't need them anymore. So let's go ahead and remove that data since it's no longer in a sense like that. Of course, you track the car you sold and things like that, but it gets too complicated for one, I guess, stream. And then matching these, you match this basically SQL. So I have about 10 minutes left, and I can stream a little bit short, but I'm gonna stay a little bit just to see if anybody has any questions. Like Vishnu asked, which code is editor is a little bit of typo, but I get it. So I'll bring it back up real quick. It is move at the stage. So this is Superbase, and I was talking earlier in the stream, but want it there. Want you all see? Okay, let's see. So I'm Superbase, and I made an MLH project. This is the project, and I made an MLH specific database. And there's a lot of options to go on Superbase. It has great documentation. And if I go over here, there's API docs to get into it, but it's called Superbase, and it's can work with any IDE or editor and such, but this one is specifically for SQL, and it's an alternative to Firebase, which is JSON files. And then delete that. But I will delete all of this to leave with an empty screen. You can see here how and the car inventory, and that's what I've called it. I can run. You can run another one over here, and you can execute them all. So you can do dual. Beautiful one. And with this, There's so much. I really emphasize that, and I hope that I will help a little bit teaching like how powerful it is, how making much and a little bit of like